So, we're starting with something light.
Why the bums always lose. The bums will always lose, Lebowski. It's not just in Malibu that the bums always lose. Across human time and space, the success rate of peasant rebellions, not champagne socialist mummeries, but genuine jackeries, for Jack and by Jack, is essentially zero. Here or there, some ambush is won. Everywhere else, the merciless, steel-girt knights regroup, and make a great slaughter. Isn't this obvious? I don't think it's obvious. I think it's of the utmost importance that we understand why this is, whether our hearts are with the bums, or the knights. It is especially important for those cursed by the combination of a knightly heritage with a bum aesthetic. More champagne, sir. The better a champagne, the more important it becomes to drink it from the bottle, by the bottle. No one can deny that The Big Lebowski is the most important LM of the last century, if only because it presents reality as it really is.
I fucking love Big Lebowski.
The dude and Big Lebowski are perfect mirrors of each other. Each is exactly what the other thinks he is. The dude is a bum, and his world is a world of bums. The Big is a phony, and his world is a world of lies. And the bums will always lose, even though everyone with a soul is rooting for them. Can this ever change? If it can change, it will involve someone, maybe not a bum, engineering some kind of mechanism that can harness the reality of bum power. If we've learned anything already in 2021, we've learned that when you expect bums to be anything but bums, it just won't work. Bums of the early 20s. 2021 has started with not one but two dramatic bum rebellions. The storming of the Capitol by a Trump mob, and the sacking of Melvin Capital by a Reddit mob. The RST rebellion has already gone the way of the Munster Republic, and the second, as I write, looks about halfway there, but I'm still rooting for it. I don't think we can understand the world the 20th century, Lewis, until we understand the Lebowski rule.
Yes.
Why do the bums always lose? It is not that one trained, well-armed knight can. February 3rd, 5341. Help. Gray Mirror, subscribe, sign in. Beat 10 tough peasants with pitchforks. He can barely beat 3. Yet 200 knights will make mincemeat out of 10,000 peasants. Why the bums always lose. Like Andrew Wiles with Fermat's theorem, I have wrestled years against this question. I have discarded all the obvious answers, such as, because they're bums. These kinds of facile explanations never explain why the bums can win any battle at all, why they are even in the game. Yet they are quite palpably in the game. Well, I found the answer this morning. It is, because they don't know they're bums. The bums lose because they adopt the methods of serious people, serious, patient, and determined people. Serious people take not even the RST step of a journey without a map of every turn. The bums get halfway there without knowing where they're going. The paradox of the bum, though, is that this is also why they GHT. The bums are such bums that they don't know they're bums. But they lose because they don't GHT like bums, but like serious people, people of genuine value and substance. They GHT like the knights they think they are. If they knew they were bums, and fought like bums, they might win. But if they knew they were bums, why would they GHT at all? This is the paradox of the bum. Secrets of bum power. I have no answers to this paradox. But supposing it could be answered, here are the secret laws of bum power. The RST law of bum power is that it has to win in one step. A serious person is patient, organized, and determined. A bum can lose a staring contest with a fruit. Why? Do not expect any kind of sustained energy or consistency from bums. Bum power does not have to win everything in one step. But any intermediate step must capture a position from which the next step becomes easier. But RST, the bums must rest comfortably. For a bum, or a Montenegrin, resting is the most important thing. The second law of bum power is that it has to be fun. A bum is not an inferior person, but a natural gentleman who has devoted his life to the aesthetic of the moment. This concept is perfectly captured in the ReNet internet philosophy of lulls. Bum power depends entirely on lulls. Once the lulls are dead, the power is dead.
Okay. So, not only do I love the, because some of his recent stuff has been like hit and miss. This is a hit for me. It's a hit. I'm loving it. Bum power. Aesthetics of the moment. It's gorgeous. You'd think that if you make a if you write an article based on a movie, that the metaphor is gonna wear out and halfway through, and you're gonna sit there thinking, why am I not just watching the movie? But no, he ties it to recent events so nicely. Nicely done, Mr. Moldbug. Nicely done.
Dead. The GameStop squeeze was shot in the head as soon as the RST boomer saw it on CNBC. The third law of bum power is that bums don't care. Bums weren't buying GameStop because they thought it was a great company with great financials.
No, we like the stock.
They didn't actually like the stock.
Oh,
What they
okay.
liked was the ride. The ride has a hell of an end. But they do it again because bums don't care.
They do it again.
Bums are not sincere. No bum has had a sincere thought since the age of 15, when he came home early from school and caught his mom banging the cable guy. To make a bum do something, don't make him care. Do the opposite, make him not give a fuck. If you want a bum to do something real in the real world, the worst way to convince him is to make a sincere, rational, good faith argument that it's a good thing for him to do. The only way that could work is if he assumes you're being ironic and your real message is that it's bad. Then he might do it
That's
just
so
to fuck
true.
with your head. Will the bums always lose?
The only way that could work if he assumes you're being ironic and your real message is that it's bad, then he might do it just to fuck with your head. That has a name. The name is... Oh, fuck. I lost the word. It's such an important word. It's when you do something just... Well, not just to piss people off, but... You're a contrarian? No, wait a minute. I'll find the word. That's important. Perverseness, contrariness. Perverseness. Let's see, synonyms. Obstinance. Well, pertinaciousness, but also tenaciousness and reluctance. Yeah, but it's obstinance. It's like, I know it's cold outside and my mom told me to wear a hat, but I'm gonna freeze my ears off just to spite her. That's that's what's going on a lot of the time in the world. People are so used to libertarianism that they will counter authority even when the authority has the correct version of reality. Incredible. That is so funny. It's funny that he caught it, but I wish people talked about it more.
Lose? Who can say? I am not even a bum, I am a serious internet writer. If you don't like my kind of serious internet writing, I suggest you stay out of Malibu. If you do, what I can say is that every once in a while, for just long enough for people to think there is still some justice, nobility, hope in the world, the bums win one. Or two. And then, for all the reasons given above, they lose. Everything. Not only that, in losing, they burn and exploit. No one can ever even start to win in that way again. I can say how it should have ended.
Wait.
At deep fucking value should have posted to the subreddit. He should have said,
Wait a minute. They burn and exploit? Okay, that's the definition of an exploit, but why are you saying they burn and exploit? You don't think it's gonna be possible to do this again? Why? Why not?
can say how it should have ended. At deep fucking value should have posted to the subreddit. He should have said, "Hi retards. Glad you're online. In 15 seconds, I'm going to sell everything with a market order. Please feel free to front run me." I feel this would have engendered exactly the right mix of nobility, irony, and tendies. But what do I know? I'm not even a bum. I think. And I'm certainly not a lawyer. In any case, as a serious internet writer, not a bum and certainly not a leader of bums, my job is to design practical strategies for bums. Type your email. Subscribe. Previous. Strategies for bums. Isn't the job of every political engineer to design useful strategies for political actors? Shouldn't those political actors be the real actors of the present, not spherical cows? People are the fuel of politics. The ideal fuel is the sturdy, proud, simple yet educated, serious yet not solemn, Jersonian country farmer. America has less than 12 of these people, all in Dixville, Notch, NH. Gasoline is the ideal fuel for a race car. If you have no gasoline, only peanut oil, it's time to design a diesel race car. On peanut oil, a tractor will beat a Lamborghini. Biodiesel is basically any kind of grease. Will the bums always lose? When bums adopt the methods of serious people, yes. The bums will always lose. It is amazing that they get anywhere with these methods, as it'd be amazing if your Kia, led to the gills with George Washington Carver's best, managed to even lurch around the block belching black smoke. But are there other methods, rent methods, which are the methods of bums? If there are, can the bums even be induced to use them? These questions remain open. Subscribe. 5341. Write a comment. 1 reply. For the lulz, and definitely not because I have the slightest desire to engage in political action of any kind, I pledge to do my best to...
Okay. That was pretty sweet. Now, Jesus. I'll put in my notepad.
Same grift Sargon used to run 5 years ago. The I used to be an SJW and I come to...
Hold on.
I don't need things to taste like...
I guess we're gonna do... Shit. Macro description. Right. What's going on here?
Just about to do
Oh my god, fuck off.
Sargon to confess my sins. And now you run that grift.
I run.
It's pretty gross.
Okay.
Yes.
What is a grift?
Grift? Well, it's a modus of operation on the internet by which to succeed in building a career. We all run grifts. All of us here are grifters. Everyone who makes money on YouTube is a grifter in their own way. I am a grifter.
What's the point of accusing people of being No, a grifter is when...
So, what's the point of accusing people of grifters if everyone is a grifter? Well, there isn't a point. But there's no point about great many things that everyone has. For example, implicit bias. Right? Everyone has a bias. So why are we talking about it? There's only one kind of people that talk about it.
When you say
just
things...
specifying what your grift is.
A grift is when you lie for some sort of personal benefit. So if you believe
No.
It's rich. That is
lied
rather rich.
in some way, I can
I mean,
address
the entire
that.
thing that you do is a lie. You run a PR campaign.
How about
you
let's
rebrand
run it
someone.
point by point.
Okay, so this is a great mistake. Point by point. There's no point here. There's no points here. Now, if you accuse someone of lying, then have examples. If you accuse them, if you accuse them of lying, and so. Technically, that would be a point for Vaush, because now our buddy is just rattling off insults that don't. I mean, they do have supporting evidence. But body 6. But you don't call people liars unless you can prove that they lied about something. It just doesn't make sense. Go here and then go here.
Killers.
What the fuck? Oh. Oh, this one's way cooler, no? Oh. And it has an empty slot. Reduces stamina consumption when blocking melee attacks by 8%. Oh, that's wolf. This one reduces damage from negative status effects by 5%. So technically, until I upgrade it, this one's better. Two attacks per second, 3 attacks per second damage. Sharp lethal. I guess technically machete is better if you come out of stealth. Nah, fuck it. Closed stores will have more items available for purchase. And reproducts are at 20 cred. Fuck.
Sound like Arch Warhammer right now, like you're doing the coffee British ramble. Like, let's just hold on.
Let's go point by point. Ouch. What? Hammer?
So
that is how I speak, boy.
what
That's how
boy?
I speak.
Rather than defending the right, so what dialects?
I've watched your videos. I know how you talk. Anyway.
And you've spoken to me, so you know how I talk.
Yeah.
You
Do
know that
you
this
want?
is not
You
should
just
we,
said
like,
it.
show up the old video where you don't sound like a lunatic LARPer trying to sound like a British judge in a head wig? Like, why are you sounding like this?
I'm just amusing myself. I'm having fun.
I'm having fun as well, my good boy. Why don't we continue with both of us attempting
Good.
this
You
ludicrous
should have
charade?
fun. You should have fun.
Of course.
Now please, make the good case.
So I
good
believe
sir.
your understanding of the word grifter was inaccurate prior to this point. I'd like
Very
to correct you
comedic,
if I
very
may.
funny.
If you believe that indeed a grifter is anyone who attempts to do anything to benefit their
And if you
understanding,
believe,
then
dear sir,
I
that
do
she
believe a
had
grifter would be
truly
everyone on Earth.
changed and has redeemed herself in the eyes of everyone. Please make that case.
Okay, but you know grift doesn't mean what you say it's meaning, right? So we're all grifters. So you're a grifter.
Well, we can
too.
agree to disagree. Yes, we are all grifters.
Wait, can I Google?
We are
Can,
all
can
grifters.
Google settle? Hold on. Grift. Actually, now that I think about it, the term grifter is like a very online term. I wonder if the definition actually wouldn't be. Hold on.
Well, then you shouldn't spend so much time online, boy.
A person who engages in petty or small-scale swindling. Yeah, that's more.
How we do it?
I
Please
stand
make
by
the
that.
point. This is why I'm here. This is why I'm here. I would like to know why people who have a problem should let go because you tell them to.
Oh my god.
Let go of their integrity.
But you are the one running the rebrand.
Not running.
I mean,
anything.
you did though.
Shoe's channel is like
brought her on.
5 times the size of mine. I don't have the ability to completely rehabilitate her
Do you
image.
think she would have continued growing if she hadn't come onto your stream to suddenly declare herself a leftist?
How powerful do
I
you
mean,
think
I am not a leftist. I'm completely grossed out by it. I don't know. What do you mean power? Fundamentally, none of us here have any power. We're just idiots on the internet. That's fundamentally what we all are.
Her
in the bottom line.
circulation of traffic is larger than mine. I don't have
You
the
just
ability.
happen to help her. You just happen to help her rebrand
She,
and
I'll tell
escape
you, she helped my
responsibility.
analytics quite a bit more than I helped her.
Yeah, and you helped her in exchange escape responsibility.
What? Wait, escape what?
Stop. 8.
Analytics quite a bit more than I helped her.
Yeah,
I'll tell
and
you
you helped her in exchange
That's it.
escape responsibility.
That's it.
circulation of traffic is larger than mine. I don't have
You
the
just
ability.
happen to help her. You just happen to help her rebrand
She-
and
This is where you twist his head off. She.
I'll tell you,
escape
she helped my
responsibility.
analytics quite a bit more than I helped her.
Yeah,
I'll tell
and
you
you
She helped my analytics quite a lot more than I helped hers. Do you see it already? Do you see it? She helped my analytics quite a lot more than I helped hers. Right? Here it is. That's the grift. She helped my analytics quite a lot more than I helped hers. That's the grift. Get someone bigger than you to talk to and grow audience based on the interaction. But no longer platforms, i.e. thanks to smaller people with better smaller people. Well, they are hence people lose face. That's the grift. He just to profiting from larger channels and nothing happened with that statement.
you helped her in exchange escape responsibility.
What? Wait, escape what? What did I escape? Or what did she escape?
So this is why in exchange you helped her change and showing shoot again when you could have Vaush's head on us. Wait, no. Make it look like you care about her more than him. More. You care about best thing Vaush. Well, thanks. What? No. Later.
She escaped being held to account by
For
all
what?
the people who she screwed over, fucked over. I was horrible to.
I'm not your class action lawyer. If you have issues with her, you can talk to her.
Right.
I'm not here to analyze her behavior
Then why
based
would
on
you
your...
always constantly jump in and defend her?
I defend
That
her
is
against
what you
claims that I
do.
think are illegitimate. She defends me against claims she thinks are
Which
illegitimate.
claims are illegitimate?
Well, what claims are you making?
Wait.
That she was a grifter, that she only...
Oh my god. I defend her against illegitimate claims. Which claims? What claims are you making?
Which claims are illegitimate?
Well, what claims are you making? Lawyer. If you have issues with her, you can talk to her. I'm not here to analyze her behavior
Then why
based
would
on
you
your...
always constantly jump in and defend her?
I def...
I defend her against claims that I think are illegitimate. Dodge the question was why not if. And then he says, demands to be told the illegitimate claims that he. So, Vaush demands that you tell him which claims are illegitimate so that he can debunk them. I defend her from illegitimate claims. Oh. What claims are you defending her from? Oh, what claims are you making? Not to mention, it's rude to answer a question with a question, but that's the whole. Maybe I should put it here. It is rude to answer a question.
defend her
That is
against
what you
claims that I
do.
think are illegitimate. She defends me against claims she thinks are
Which
illegitimate.
claims are illegitimate?
Well, what claims?
Which claims are illegitimate? But the point of this is for the pressure to prove things to always be on the be away from Vaush. That's how you make yourself look better in front of a bigger celeb. Just always be asking questions.
Claims you're making.
That she was a grifter, that she only changed her opinions into being left-wing because it suddenly became profitable.
Do you have any
She
evidence of that?
backed Nazi scum. Oh, I fucking tweeted the screen cap of
Yeah, I've
of
seen
her
it before, yeah.
defending the Gunt
Yeah, Ethan Ralph.
when he got banned for Holocaust denial stream. When he ran an entire 1 year long fucking campaign of making my life miserable because I
Poor Ralph gets dragged into this beef. Ralph had incorrect information.
Sonya Spec the guy was actually alright.
One who scrolled BD 9430?
Guy knows how to spin a virtue.
I'll use this cunt! One good shot and we're done!
Get the fuck away from me!
Another one of those. Ooh. It's a blade, it's a blade. I don't need both. And we're going here. No. Here. Where are we going? Oh, bus. Oh. Okay. I should be listening.
I made videos against the Nazis 2 years before you were even here, boy.
Why do you talk like
You
that?
do know that she spent a considerable time making people's lives miserable. And it's more than just me. You
But
know
I'm
that.
familiar with all
You know,
of
there
this.
is a guy, you know, there is a guy who Shu, years ago, falsely accused, I should say, of spreading child pornography. How do you think will this guy, I
So
mean, I
wait,
can't speak on his behalf,
wait,
but
hold on.
have you ever considered in your bird
Here's
brain
the issue.
how
That-
that guy
Kraut.
might think about your rebranding?
Kraut, hold on. So the issue is, why should I trust anything you have to say when I know you lie about me? Like, why would I believe your
Well, then
characterization
don't.
of anything that's happening?
Well then,
What? Point 4. Vaush.
So the issue is, why should I trust?
The issue is, why should I trust blah 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 anything you say when you lie about me? So first call you a liar for free.
Well, then
Characterization
don't.
of anything that's happening.
well then don't. And let me ask you this: why should I trust Shu's rebrand?
You don't have
when
to. I'm
she's-
not forcing you to do
when she-
anything.
Why should I trust your rebrand of her and your current defense of her when she's dating a Nazi?
How is she? When is she dating a Nazi?
10:07. When is she dating a Nazi? Again, question. Then so have evidence to back up even the most probable claims.
Oh, don't be so obtruse. It is literally.
Mhm.
People in your own community who found that out. posted it in your fucking subreddit.
I saw
The
a
guy she
rumor?
went to the fucking Capitol riot with.
Is there any actual
I mean,
evidence of
what
it?
the? How
Wait.
much? There's literally people in your own community who found that out and posted it in your fucking subreddit.
I saw
The
a
guy she
rumor?
went to the fucking
Obtruse. Someone's saying obtruse in the chat. There's no such word. This is and another person is saying obtruse.
Asking you to do anything.
Why should I trust your rebrand of her and your current defense of her when she's dating a Nazi?
How is she? When is she dating a Nazi?
Oh, don't be so obtruse. It is literally people in your own community who found that out and posted it in your fucking subreddit.
I saw
The
a
guy she
rumor?
went to the fucking Capitol riot with.
See him quiet here. It's because he's really thinking about what he can say, because he got caught here.
There's literally people in your own community who found that out.
People in your own community found that out.
And posted it in your fucking subreddit.
I saw
The
a
guy she
rumor?
went to the fucking
I saw a rumor.
Capitol riot with.
Is there any actual
I mean,
evidence of
what
it?
the? How?
Is there any actual evidence of this? Is what you slam the Reddit post you and him in his face and leave. That's all you had to do. If you've seen Reddit posts in his community about shooting dating a Nazi, you know this, and you bring it all up, and it's like, is this really happening? You put the evidence in front of him, and you leave, and you've won. But he drags you into asking for evidence.
How
Wait,
much
wait,
of a
wait. You
rebrand
realize how
is
much
that?
misinformation spreads about me, right? People have been spreading. Wait, hold on. You
Oh, yes,
realize? Wait, hold
everything
on. Wait, really
bothers me
quickly.
is
Kraut.
misinformation.
Wait, Kraut. Really quickly. Okay, you do realize that there were a fuck ton of people talking about how she and I were dating, right? Was that true?
Oh my god, Vaush wants to fuck you so badly. He's making the rumors himself, and then he's claiming other people are making the rumors. Oh my god.
True? Like people. people were talking about that everywhere.
I don't follow such stuff. It's not.
Spreading. Wait, hold on. You
Oh, yes,
realize? Wait,
everything.
hold on. Wait,
Bothers
really
me
quickly,
is
Kraut.
misinformation.
Wait, Kraut. Really quickly. Okay, you do realize that there were a fuck ton of people talking about how she and I were dating, right? Was that true? Like, people were talking about that everywhere.
I don't follow such stuff. It's not.
So
no, it's not.
Maybe
particular
people
interest
talk about
to me.
things that aren't necessarily true sometimes.
Or you are convinced now that that is a lie. Suddenly this shifts and suddenly it's
No,
that
I
is
just
a
would
lie.
need to see
like all
evidence other
the
than
weird
you
tweets
saying it.
about being some kind of prison sex slaves by a Nazi that
Wait,
these
what are you
people made during the
talking
Capitol
about?
riot.
Are you
What I'm
okay?
talking about is what I've observed.
What?
And it is in your subreddit,
Okay, wait.
the
Hold on.
conversation
Wait,
about
hold
it.
on. Wait, hold on. This isn't a therapy session. If you have problems with
You
me,
have looked at the account. You have looked at the account.
what
right?
account? What
And
are you
I have
talking
to ask-
about?
This is not a therapy session, dude. I am asking you
I'll
how
just
much.
mute for a second. Okay, so yeah, I'm muted. Yeah, okay, well I can hear you, but they can't because I need to just. I'm here. If you have a problem with my behavior, do you want to talk about it? I'm here. If you have a problem with
You
me,
have looked at the account. You have looked at the account.
what
right?
account? What
And
are you
I have
talking
to ask-
about?
This is not a therapy session, dude. I am asking you
I'll
how
just
much.
mute for a second. Okay, so, yeah, I'm muted. Yeah, okay, well, I can hear you, but they can't because I need to just. I'm here. If you have a problem with my behavior, do you want to talk about it? Okay. Are you okay? You're not okay, are you? No, he's still going. He's still going. Okay, I've unmuted. Okay. So did you have problems with me, or?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I
Because
don't
you are the
know
one
anything about
facilitating
this.
the rebranding of these people.
So wait,
You are the
wait,
one.
I'm looking. Wait, hold on. I'm looking at this Reddit post right now. I see a post on 4chan, and then another post on 4chan that mentions me, and then a third post on 4chan, and then some Discord logs where Shu doesn't seem to buy into the idea that she's dating anyone.
This
What
is
is
a
this?
conversation with her and him.
Okay. I don't have anything to say about this.
You're trying very hard to discredit this.
I'm not.
but
You
it
just
really is
random.
just-
About this.
You're trying very hard to discredit it.
I don't have anything to say about this.
You're trying. Very hard to discredit this.
I'm not.
but it
Just
really is
random 4chan
You're
posts.
trying really. This is not just random 4chan posts. There's literally screen caps.
Don't have anything to say about this.
You're trying. Very hard to discredit this.
I'm not.
but it
Just
really is
random 4chan posts.
You're trying really. This is not just random 4chan posts. There's literally screen caps of DMs in there and posts in private servers.
Yeah, I've seen all this shit about me and Shu too.
I mean, maybe you should encourage your audience to go and watch it. it or read.
All this shit about me and Shu too.
I mean, maybe posts in private servers.
Yeah, I've seen all this. Shit about me and Shu too.
I mean, maybe you should encourage your audience to go and watch it or read it themselves.
Wait, why the fuck would my audience care, even if this is true, what Shu is doing in her private life? You realize how weird and stalkery you sound, right?
Private life? Private life? She went to the fucking Capitol riot with a Nazi. I mean, the entire thing that you predicated your streams on is that she's now a reformed person. I mean, tell me this. How much of a leftist do you have to be
Nothing that's
to date a
presented
Nazi?
here even looks
How
like
much?
evidence. Okay,
How
so
much?
are you?
Que ya tengo planes para esta noche. Sí, mamá. Te vas a...
How much of a leftist do you have to be?
None of.
Tell me this. How much of a leftist do you have to be?
Nothing that's
to date a
presented
Nazi?
here even. Looks
How
like
much?
evidence. Okay,
How
so
much?
are you? So you just came here to like complain that you're not fucking Shu? Is that it? Like this is really fucking weird.
Oh no, I
hope-
have a dating preference for women who can read.
I hope
But
you understand how
Please,
fucking weird.
you're free to
right?
imply whatever you want to imply.
No, but you
Isn't it
came
weird
here and
whatsoever?
you're like obsessed with Shu. Like you're presenting, like you might as well
No,
give me a
no,
fucking
no, no,
Kiwi
no.
Farms link. Like,
I am also
dude, look
annoyed
at it.
about
Like this
Hunter
corroborates right here.
Avalon and all the other people who you've rebranded.
What do you
And
mean
this
rebranded?
repulsive shtick that
Why
you're
don't we
pulling.
focus on that accusation? So you can watch the videos where I talk to these people. Usually what I do is I bring up things they've done that are negative, and I talk about them with them about those things. And like, if I like them, I like them, and if I don't, I don't. What do you mean by rebrand? What should I have done? Tell me.
You should have done nothing.
Not talk to them.
It is not your place.
It's not my
To forgive
place.
people. It is not your place to forgive people for what they did to others.
What are you talking about?
It is not your place to do that.
So nobody should ever talk to anybody who anyone else ever thinks they've been wronged by.
Do you know what I did for most of 2019?
How can you talk to me? There are tons of
Do
people who
you
think
know?
I've wronged them.
Do you know what I did throughout most of 2019? You obese little twat.
Yeah, because you were in
I
my
spent
DMs
most
complaining.
Of that fucking year. I spent
You were
most
in
of
my
that fucking
DMs
year.
asking for my help in
Shut
rebranding
you
your
fat
image.
Twat. I spent most of that time reflecting, and I reached out to the people who I've hurt. I spent a fucking year doing it.
Okay.
I reached out to the people who I have hurt. I reflected on the years that I spent.
Dude,
in the
I just have to say,
anti-SJW
even if I had
and
fucked
I
you
did
over-
so publicly. And I did so publicly. And
Even-
then
even
you
if I had
come in
fucked you over
and
really,
you
really bad
decide
in the
that the
past.
shtick has to continue. That the anti-SJW stick has to continue. That this entire way of making content, of this nasty response, talking over, screaming, bitchy shit
What?
that people like Wozgy and Sargon started. Yeah, you basically just rebranded the anti-SJW style of making videos.
How?
That is what you did.
Well, how?
Because that is how you make content.
Wait, how? By going over videos?
Yeah, you don't
Okay.
research anything. You don't do anything. All you do is just ramble. You turn on a microphone and you ramble.
Dude, who's rambling more in this conversation? I don't know.
Well, I make videos.
Wait, I do too?
research, I sit down,
What do you
I
mean?
write.
So wait, so to ramble on a video is to borrow Sargon shtick.
No, you continue Sargon shtick.
Because he copyrighted rambling? What about Sam Cedar? Is he also a Sargon clone? He rambles like harder than me because he's a boomer.
Well, at least he seems to know what he's talking about.
Oh, so wait, now we've shifted it. Now it's not the aesthetic, it's the content. I see.
Well,
Dude,
it is
you're
what
just
you
mad
do.
at me.
It is
You're
the
just mad.
aesthetic.
You're
No, it is-
angry and you're
it is the
sad and you're
aesthetic.
bitter.
It is the aesthetic. It is the aesthetic of what you do.
But he rambles more than I do.
Your content is extremely similar to what Sargon does. Turn on a webcam, talk about shit that you know nothing about.
Okay. What do I not know anything about?
Used to
You
be an
notice that you
SJW.
aren't answering
Now,
any
please,
questions
let's
because
not
you
do
have
this
nothing to say. You're rambling. What do I not know about?
I'm not
by the way?
rambling.
What do I not know about? Are you drunk, by the way?
No, it's just free.
I'm trying to look for an excuse to your behavior. So I just have to say, by the way, to move to an earlier point, because you're like
How very
drunkenly stumbling from
generous.
one to another.
How very generous.
Even if I had
of you.
wronged
now,
you,
what is your final solution to
mute
the
you
Jewish?
again. So even if I had wronged you really hard back in like 2018 or 2017, with your behavior, I genuinely don't know if it'd be productive to apologize to you. So I muted you. Did you hear what I said? Okay, wait, that's cool. Here, I'll repeat it. Okay. So, might as well give me a fucking Kiwi Farms link. Like,
I am also
dude, look
annoyed
at it.
about
Like, this
Hunter
corroborates right here.
Avalon And all the other people who you've rebranded.
What do you
And
mean
this
rebranded?
repulsive shtick that
Why
you're
don't we
pulling.
focus on that accusation? So you can watch the videos where I talk to these people. Usually, what I do is I bring up things they've done that are negative, and I talk about them with them about those things. And like, if I like them, I like them, and if I don't, I don't. What do you mean by rebrand? What should I have done? Tell me.
You should have done nothing.
Not talk to them?
It is not your place.
It's not my
to forgive
place.
people. It is not your place to forgive people for what they did to others.
What are you talking about?
It is not your place to do that.
So nobody should ever talk to anybody who anyone else ever thinks has they've been wronged by. You should ever. What are you talking about?
It is not your place to forgive people for what they did.
It's not my
To forgive
place.
people. It is not your place.
It's not my
To forgive
place.
people. It is not your place to forgive people for what they did to others.
What are you talking about?
It is not your your place to do that.
So nobody should ever talk to anybody who anyone else ever thinks they've been wronged by.
Do you know what I did for most of 2019?
How can you talk to me? There are tons of
Do
people who
you
think
know?
I've wronged them.
Do you know what I did throughout most of 2019? You obese little twat.
Yeah, because you were in
I
my
spent
DMs
most of that
complaining.
fucking year. I spent
You were
most
in
of
my
that fucking
DMs
year.
asking for my help in
Shut
rebranding
up, you
your
fat
image.
Twat. I spent most of that time reflecting, and I reached out to the people who I've hurt. I spent a fucking year doing that.
Okay.
I reached out to the people who I have hurt. I reflected on the years that I spent
Dude,
in the
I just have to say,
anti-SJW
even
sphere.
if I had
and
fucked
I
you
did
over,
so publicly, and I did so publicly, and
even
then
even
you
if I had
come in
fucked you over
and
really,
you
really
decide
bad in the
that the
past,
shtick has to continue, that the anti-SJW stick has to continue, that this entire way of making content, of this nasty response, talking over, screaming, bitchy shit
what?
that people like Warski and Sargon started, yeah, you basically just rebranded the anti-SJW style of making videos.
How?
That is what you did.
What? How?
Because that is how you make content.
Wait, how? By going over videos?
Yeah, you don't
Okay.
message anything. You don't do anything. All you do is just ramble. You
Oh.
turn on a microphone and you ramble.
Dude, who's rambling more in this conversation? I don't know.
Well, I make videos.
Wait, I do too?
research, I sit down,
What do you
I
mean?
write.
So wait, so to ramble on a video is to borrow Sargon shtick.
No, you continue Sargon shtick.
Oh, because he copyrighted rambling? What about Sam Cedar? Is he also a Sargon clone? He rambles like harder than me because he's a boomer.
Well, at least he seems to know what he's talking about.
Oh, so wait, now we've shifted it. Now it's not the aesthetic, it's the content. I see.
Well,
Dude,
it is
you're
what
just
you
mad
do.
at me.
It is
You're
the
just mad.
aesthetic.
You're
No, it is-
angry and
it
you're
is the
sad and you're
aesthetic.
bitter.
It is the aesthetic. It is the aesthetic of what you do.
But he rambles more than I do.
Your content is extremely similar to what Sargon does. Turn on a webcam, talk about shit that you know nothing about.
Okay. What do I not know anything about?
Used to be
You
an
notice that you aren't
SJW.
answering
Now,
any
please, I
questions because you
forgive
have
the
nothing
sin.
to say. You're rambling. What do I not know about,
I'm
by
not
the way?
rambling.
What do I not know about? Are you drunk, by the way?
No, it's just free in
I'm
the
trying to
morning.
look for an
It's very
excuse
late.
to your behavior. So,
Was thinking about swapping some chrome. Got any new toys?
Have a look.
Whew, this is a really hard topic. The concept of identity is like really rough. Like, who are you, or who do you exist as? So like, here's like, I just thought of like a couple like random thought experiments, because and it kind of goes back to the idea of like, maybe one way you could frame this discussion is like, is it actually immoral or wrong to kill somebody who's sleeping? Okay, so like, here are just some questions, I guess. Let's say that you enter like a lab. Let's say that somebody puts you in a room and they are able to clone you perfectly, 1-to-1. Say that the room is dark, so neither person can see their position, right? So you go in and you come out and there are 2 of you, right? How the fuck could you ever determine which one is you? Like, would there be, like, it seems like identity has to do with some identity of the self, like physically, and then some identification with like prior memories, right? That seems to be the case, right? Like, oh, like I know I'm me because I remember being me, and I know that I'm me because there's some consistent. consistent like timeline of events that I can identify with. Like, how do I know that I'm me? Well, physically, I possess a body, and that's what I identify as physically. And then me is a concept I can identify because I remember things I've done. And I think even so, like, I think that a lot of the identities that we have are really just like strings of memory. So for instance, if I say like, oh, well, who am I? Well, like I play StarCraft. I'm not playing it right now. I did at one point in the past. It's like, oh, sure. I mean, like I talk to my friends. Well, I'm not right now, but I did in the past, right? Like, I think it feels like identity is like this kind of like stream of memories that you have, right? So if if one person walks into a lab, gets cloned, and then two people come out, and neither of them know their position prior, right? So you can't tell like, oh, well, I saw him appear over there, so of course he's the clone, right? It feels like you'd have no way of knowing which one is which, right? Okay, so this is like one. I think this is relatively non-controversial up to this point, although I'm sure some people find controversy this, right? Okay, but now my next question. So here's my next question, okay? If you go to sleep and then you wake up in the morning, my question is that like, is stopping that stream of memory, is halting your conscious experience, is that like essentially dying? When you wake up, right? Have you essentially been dead for some? Have you essentially been dead for some point of time, right? And then the next question is, because if you stop that stream of thought and then you wake up, my question would be like, what's the difference between you waking up versus you waking up as a clone, right? So let's say for instance, let's say that you go to sleep, and while you're sleeping, let's say that two clones are made of you, and three people awaken the next day, right?
Have a look.
For the three people that awaken, like you and your two clones, none of you really knows, which one was the original, because you have no way of knowing. Physically, you're identical, and you contain the same like string of memories. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's a weird thing, because like then the second kind of question then, let's say that like one person goes to sleep, let's say that you clone this person, then let's say that you kill the original person, and then the clone wakes up. Is this like just outside the boundary of like? Since I don't really have like a strong meta-ethical position, do I just not get to answer questions like this? Because I feel like it just seems like a really weird. Okay, hold on. Let me use better words than weird. You can do this literally moment of conscious to moment of consciousness. Yeah, well, that was going to be my next thing. Is almost like derivation or whatever. Where I wonder if you could go to arbitrarily like finite moments of time and say that you exist as a different person from event to event to event. It seems like there might be substantially different though. In terms of like actually halting your conscious experience and then starting it up again the next morning, because this kind of ties into my idea before, is like, is it actually immoral to kill somebody in their sleep? Because if you go to sleep and you wake up, and it's essentially indistinguishable from some temporary death and resurrection, if you kill somebody while they're sleeping and they're not having a conscious experience, is it actually like wrong at all? I don't know. Dude, there are so many crazy, horrible things about the Trump administration. We didn't get to appreciate any of them. It was a content overload, okay? I'm sorry, but one of the funniest fucking things of all time was the fucking press conference in front of that Crown Royal fucking construction group. And we don't even get to really talk about that. That was like 2 seconds on the news cycle, and that's oh my god. So there's like a 4 Points hotel or something. The Four Seasons, yeah. This is like a famous hotel chain, and Giuliani booked a press conference, but when everybody showed up, they were in front of like a construction company called Four Seasons Landscaping. Because they just looked at the phone and they fucked up, but they just rolled with it. Like,
okay, that's funny as fuck.
Yeah.
I didn't see it at all. No, yeah. Man, the United States just feels so fucking different 3 days later from fucking Trump. I don't know. I got hope. We got Biden being coherent, making good executive orders about shit. It's fucking crazy.
That's cool and all, but we still have the conservatives being fucking idiots.
No. Oh, I mean, yeah, I agree.
That is a Nathan for you bit. Oh, we can't afford the Four Seasons? Well, let's go stand in front of the Four Seasons landscape.
But it seems more like an Arrested Development bit where they just fuck it up completely. Like,
you know what? I think I'm done recommending shit. I don't think there's any benefits in it whatsoever. It's all just downsides completely across the board.
Well, I just gave you a compliment on it. Doesn't that make you feel a little bit good?
No, because what's going to happen is in like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you'll be like, Dan, your fucking desk broke. Like, it's not my fucking desk, dog. I just told you the one I use, okay? I don't want anything. You know what? Forget it. Fuck fuck you. You have a recommendation for me? Nothing. I have nothing. I have no recommendation for you. Go figure it out and suffer yourself. So I don't have to hear the shit when like something eventually doesn't go right for you in your life. You guys are literally like parents. You're like
Dan
parents.
recommends the Jarvis standing desk is what he recommended, and I got it. So.
Wait, what's
Dan? Do you stand with your standing desk?
Yes, I did today actually, because my back has been hurting. God, it fucking pisses me off. I shouldn't say anything, but I don't care. I don't care because you affect me not. So I don't mind.
No, I did affect you. I'm in your brain, Dan. I live rent free. That's why your back's hurting. I made your back hurt.
Hey, look, a fucking meme poll from RTBA. Once again, the double standards rules for thee, but not for me. Fuck boy. Fuck you, RTBA.
Are we okay?
I don't give a shit. Try it again, RTBA. We'll see what happens. I swear to God, we will go mutually assured destruction on
Wait,
each
I
other.
know how Dan can make RTBA.
Stop. That RTBA.
No.
That wasn't me. That was
No,
Moon.
that wasn't
was
me.
Moon.
No,
That
I
was
wasn't
Moon.
going there. I
That
was
was
gonna
Moon.
say something. I was
That
gonna
was
say something
Moon.
else.
What were you gonna say? What were you gonna say?
I know how Dan could make RTBA very mad.
How?
I know as well.
He could be the bigger person and
Oh,
not
yeah.
go after him.
That's what you were
I
gonna
was
say.
I'm not going
Yes.
after. He's going after me, okay? And I gotta be honest. I haven't really done anything to defend myself, but I'll start. I will start.
You can't beat a bear, Dan.
You can.
He's
He'll
a
just.
fucking bear.
He'll live in DGG, and I'll live in fucking Discord and Reddit, and he can. We're just fucking. We'll. I swear to God, we'll just go to war. I don't give a shit.
Should I do a poll of RTBAs, man?
RTBA is always man.
No, careful. You do that, he'll take away your permissions.
True.
RTBA and I are like.
Like what?
We're like Russia and the United States. So we do proxy wars. And Dan's like our Israel and Palestine. All in one. It's no way Dan lost his permissions, but he's too much of a beta fuck to ever admit he acts like a fucking loser sometimes. So whatever. Ho's mad. Dan, what do you have to say to this?
Shut up, soy bear. Soy. Look at me. I'm RTBA. I have ultimate permissions. Soy. Don't challenge me. Soy. Fuck out there.
I will say I love and appreciate the support of all of my mods because they're all great people. It does feel a little bit lame sometimes. Like Cake and RTBA will like shit on shatters and shit, and then when they like attack them back, they start banning.
Stay with me!
Yeah, exactly. Fuck that shit. I've drawn a line in the sand though. Fuck them. I'll do these goddamn games. I don't give a shit.
Nothing better than Dan.
Calm down.
I don't.
You can tell when Dan's back is hurting when he's all riled up
that
like
true,
right
Dan?
now.
What
GG
true?
for life.
Are you riled up right now because your back is hurting?
I mean, that's probably part of it. It's really fucking annoying that, like, of all the things on my body that chose to hurt, it was my fucking back. But it's alright. I'm honest. I don't mind telling you that it hurts now, because usually it doesn't. Usually it's fine. It's just right now, I think I must have, like, slept wrong or something like that, because, God, it fucking hurts, like, you know, if you're gonna, like,
Well,
put
I
your
can tell
hand...
the story if you want.
If you're gonna put your hands up your hips, like you're waiting, you know what I mean? Like that, and then where your thumbs would be, that's like where it fucking hurts like hell. Right
Oh,
now.
like the bottom of the bag?
Yeah, like I feel like that's where your kidneys are, but probably I think your kidneys are actually under your ribs, so that's
Does it
definitely
hurt on
not.
the side or does it hurt like in the back?
No, in the back.
Okay. Yeah.
Like
but that's area. Yeah.
where your thumb is, exactly where your thumb is on both sides.
I don't have any thumbs in my fucking back, Dan. I don't know what the fuck you mean by that.
I said if you were like putting your hands on your hips, like you were doing like a yeah, your fucking hands. What?
What
That's
the
fine. I'm just saying if you're gonna say that.
I'll Tony W for that.
Have you had an MRI or X-ray?
No, he's dying. Why would they waste the technology on him?
Because he's a 1%er.
It's about to be a number. Figure.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
And then he's gonna be
gonna
dead
send you
soon.
some malware.
Just another
Will help and didn't bully you.
I'll be dead. I won't care that you suggested that.
No, but your will hopefully will.
No. Well, you think I'm gonna update it assuming I'm gonna die, Lygan?
I mean, that's how wills work.
Alright, well, I'll tell you what, I'll say hi to Larry King for you, okay?
Thanks, buddy.
Too soon, Dan. Feels weird, man.
Feels weird, man. Wait, did he really just die? Or are you memeing?
Yeah.
Wait, like today?
Today.
Yeah.
Wait, did he have the coronavirus? Did he die of COVID-19?
They haven't released a reason earlier this morning.
Am I crazy, or was it confirmed a while ago that he had COVID-19?
Had it in like, yeah, I thought so.
Or was that a long time ago? Ooh, that's pretty crazy. Larry King was the guy that took a phone call during the Dave Rubin thing, right?
No, that wasn't him, Steven.
Who was it?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, I think it was. Never mind. You.
Yeah, you know it was because you saw a fucking Reddit post today. You know goddamn well that
I
it
did
was.
see
and
the
you're trying
Reddit
to act
post.
like you have some genius fucking memory.
No, I didn't even watch the episode. I saw the Reddit post. But I didn't know if it was Larry King or some other guy. That's why I asked.
Son of a bitch.
I'm pretty sure whatever Reddit post I saw was literally on the front fucking page of Reddit. So I assume most people probably would have seen it. You think I'm just gonna try to sneak that by my audience?
Yes, I do.
Many hours making my video reply to Lord Kane's 2, which lasted over an hour. Pretty tediously went into many different stats. And in it, I thought I was pretty respectful to Lord Keynes. I gave him the courtesy of rewriting all of his arguments in logically valid forms, of following up on his sources. And I just want to show you the past 24 hours. Here's a selection of some of Lord Keynes 2's responses to that very thorough post that I made replying to a log entry. First of all, this is his initial reaction. He says, so in this comical video, AA totally ignores the graph below that shows how relatively inflexible prices have become since the 19th century. Plus, he ignores the fact that since the 1940s, inflation generally continues to occur even in recessions. Now, you don't exactly need a PhD in economics to understand that since the 1940s, certain Keynesian and monetary policies have been induced by central banks to artificially pump up the money supply and to ensure that there's constant inflation. This, in fact, is since the famous Irving Fisher idea that deflation is bad and was the thing that caused the Great Depression in the 1930s. That is the reason why there's constant inflation, because the people who run the central banks will not let there be inflation. He knows that, I know that, and you know that. And so when I pointed this out, he says, lol, but you've just admitted the conclusion of your video is BS. Either one, prices are highly flexible, especially downwards as imagined in Austrian economics, or two, prices are not flexible downwards because of evil central banks. Which is it? And then he posts this, calls me the academic idiot, and there's you've got the classic meme with the two buttons. Prices are highly flexible, especially downwards, as imagined in Austrian economics. And then the second button, prices are not flexible downwards because of evil central banks. And then he says again, ha ha ha, the argument was never about real prices, this is a straw man. The argument was about money prices. You have shot yourself in the foot. Yet again, he cackles. And then he posts the meme again, this time with me as a chicken running away from the problem. And then he follows up. Now, I've only picked out 11, like a dozen or so of these responses, but this was just a fraction of what I woke up to today when I looked at my Twitter feed. So this is another response. Lol. This is a response to my buddy Jay Greenriver, who got involved in the discussion. He says, lol, the real prices are not the type of money price flexibility imagined required in Austrian economics. You are a clown and idiot. And then he's got various different quotations to try to prove that Rothbard, Mises and others had nominal money prices in mind, not the real price, that is, prices adjusted for inflation or deflation. Then he comes back again. You have now refuted the conclusion of your own video, since you concede massive downwards price rigidity caused by central banks. LOL. And then again, he's written out his dilemma yet again. Yes, you cannot have it both ways. Either one, real world prices are highly flexible upwards and downwards in response to supply and demand changes, or two, there is massive downwards price rigidity caused by central banks. Then he says AA is selling a whole effing course on logic, and yet he cannot even argue with massive self-contradiction. Bunch of laughing faces. And then he's written again, since both statements below reduce to 1, real world prices are highly flexible upwards and downwards, and 2, real world prices are not highly flexible upwards and downwards, AA violates the law of non-contradiction, one of the classic 3 laws of thought, of course. Then he posts another meme. How can prices be flexible if central banks prevent price decreases? Didn't you argue that prices are flexible? Then he's got me running out, jumping out the window, you know, running down the garden path. And then, and bear in mind, this was less than 24 hours after I posted my video. He's got the still waiting meme there for my follow-up. So it's now the 4th of February, just one day later, and now I've got a little bit of time to make my follow-up. Alright, Lord Keynes 2, and I'm going to do it, and unlike you, Lord Keynes, I'm not going to be falling foul of ad hominem attacks. I'm going to stick to logic, so I'm going to ignore all of your attempts to belittle me and to attack my person. It is better than you deserve, but I am going to remain intellectually honest and not try to get into some sort of slagging match with you. So I've tried to reduce your argument down to its logical form. His argument takes the form of a classic dilemma, okay? And it goes like this. If AA admits that central banks increase the money supply and induce inflation, which produces downwards price rigidity, then he cannot also maintain that real-world prices are flexible, as Austrian theory maintains, without contradiction. Either AA must admit that central banks increase the money supply and induce inflation, which produces downwards price rigidity, etc., or he must deny that and affirm real-world nominal price flexibility as outlined by Austrian theory. Therefore, AA cannot maintain both. Now, it just so happens that the author of Foundations of Logic has a way of countering dilemma. In fact, there are 3 ways of countering dilemmas. One, you can take the bull by the horns and attack the major premise. Second strategy is to go between the horns, as they say, and attack the minor premise. Or, the third option is to construct a counter-dilemma using the same terms. Now, looking at this argument, I have decided that the best way of taking on Lord Keynes 2 here would be to take the bull by the horns and to show why this is a false dilemma. First, though, let me make an analogy. Weather theory predicts that this room will be freezing cold in the winter. But since we have put a radiator and central heating in this room, classical weather theory is false. Now, if anybody has actually done Foundations of Logic, you will know that my recommendation is to avoid using analogies when constructing arguments. Only use analogies to illustrate a point, never to deduce a conclusion or advance an argument. Even if the analogy seems perfect, objectors will find a way to say that the 2 items are dissimilar in some way. So, and Lord Keynes 2 would definitely do that. Trust me, he would do that. So in order to head that off at the pass, let us rewrite the point without relying on the analogy. Let us get to the essence of the underlying argument here. The patterns of nature are not man-made interventions. Theories about natural phenomena pertain to the patterns of nature. Therefore, theories about natural phenomena cannot be invalidated by man-made interventions. That is the argument that is being made in my analogy, okay? And then we can move from the general argument to a specific application. So in this case, Austrian price theory is a theory about a natural phenomenon. Price fluctuations are a pattern of nature. Central bank interventions are man-made interventions. Thus, price fluctuations are not central bank interventions. Austrian price theory pertains to price fluctuations. Therefore, Austrian price theory cannot be invalidated by central bank interventions. Ergo, in the absence of artificial heating, so when I say ergo, I mean therefore, given everything I've said so far, in the absence of artificial heating, one would expect a room to be cold in the winter. In the absence of artificial inflation, one would expect prices to fall in a recession. We can rephrase the false dilemma as follows. This is the false dilemma that Lord Keynes 2 is proposing, and I'm just labouring this point to show you the logical error that Lord Keynes 2 has made. Okay? If rooms are hot in the winter due to artificial heating, then classical weather theory cannot be right. This is the argument he's making. If prices rise during a recession due to artificial inflation, then Austrian price theory cannot be right. Why are these dilemmas both false? Well, the first one is false because classical weather theory assumes the winter room temperatures will fall in the absence of artificial heating. Therefore, the presence of artificial heating does not contradict it. And the second argument, because Austrian price theory assumes recessionary prices will fall in the absence of artificial inflation. Therefore, the presence of artificial inflation does not contradict it. Now, in my video reply to Lord Keynes, I took great pains to isolate the artificial inflation induced by central banks as a variable. And I did that when I looked at the prices of the magazines. Remember that the price of Newsweek increased by 150%. And if you take out inflation between 1950 and 1970 of 61%. Now, some of that inflation will be natural inflation, some of it will be induced by the central bank. You can see that the price of Newsweek rose 56.25% higher than inflation in that time. So the price of Newsweek rose above all of the other prices in the economy, even taking into account what the central banks were up to, whereas the price of Good Housekeeping increased by 10% lower than inflation, would have switched from actual sales of copies to revenue from people advertising between their pages. So they probably wanted to keep the price as low as possible, because the real thing they were selling was advertising, not issues of Good Housekeeping. And that's something I should have mentioned. Another thing to mention, which would have been pushing the downwards pressure on the price during this period, was production methods of colour magazines. It became a lot cheaper to print colour magazines over the course of the 60s and the early 70s, so that's another reason that was pushing these prices down. But you can see in that atmosphere, Newsweek still increased in price, whereas Good Housekeeping was going the other way due to various different factors. Okay? But we can see that real prices are neither rigid upwards nor downwards. In other words, if you control for artificial inflation, you can still measure the natural price signal. Real prices show us the underlying reality that prices do still respond to fluctuations in supply and demand, even though artificial inflation distorts the signal. Alright, hopefully that has shown you that Lord Keynes 2 is not only logically wrong, he's also quite clearly clueless about the most basic
Everyone's gotta go
ideas in
sometime, right?
economics imaginable.
Why not?
Now
Oh, and by
get
the way,
out.
name's Jack.
Are you sick of hearing about Marx and Keynes? Do you want to know why neoclassical economics is so flawed? Have you ever wondered how to work out the marginal productivity of a burger bun? Do you want to level up your econ knowledge? Buy it now. £350. Foundations of Economics. Foundations of Economics. I'm here. Foundations of Economics. Get it now.
Dex a regular? You come here a lot?
Be sure to like this video and subscribe, and if you really like my content, maybe consider joining the channel or donating or maybe even buy a mug. I am grateful for all of your support.
Guess they weren't delivering that
Now
pizza
get out.
before.
How do you know?
My job to know. Look around. How do you think mercs earn their reps? Through gossip rivaling that of schoolgirls, that's how. Break a leg.
Thanks.
Available at the and your argument. Now available at the Academic Agency. Sharpen your analytical mind and your argumentation skills with Foundations of Logic. The course draws on the ancient wisdom of traditional logic that students learned for over 2,000 years, from the time of Aristotle through to the medieval schoolmen, right down to the 20th century. Sign up now for a free preview lecture.
So yesterday,
here.
after
In the
many
rain.
hours making
Some
my
kinda exotic shit.
video reply
Tempo,
to Lord Keynes
ninjutsu.
2, which lasted over an
Think you
hour,
could take me? Drop me?
pretty tediously went into many different stats,
Este pinche tipo.
and in it I thought I was pretty respectful to Lord Keynes. I gave him the courtesy of rewriting all of his arguments in logically valid forms, of following up on his sources, and I just want to show you the past 24 hours. Here's a selection of some of Lord Keynes 2's responses to that very thorough post that I made
First time
replying
in real
to
space.
his blog entry.
Let's see
First
these
of all,
bad boys.
this was his initial reaction. He says, so in this comical video, AA totally ignores the graph below that shows how relatively inflexible prices have become
Thanks for
since
your
the
help
19th
back at the
century.
scav hunt.
Plus, he ignores the
few
fact
reapers
that
less in the
since the
city.
1940s,
Good thing.
inflation generally continues to
Hall should be
occur
fucking
even in
thanking us.
recessions. Now, you don't exactly need a PhD in economics
Sweet
to
bull.
understand that
You
since the
soundproof?
1940s,
Tacky.
certain Keynesian and monetary policies
Wells
have
is
been
right. We're gonna be going over some sensitive
induced by
material.
central banks
But if
to
it's all right with
artificially
y'all,
pump up
I'd
the
like to
money
start with a
supply
question from
and
Miss
to
V.
ensure that there's constant
Evelyn Parker,
inflation.
how'd you
This,
fare?
in fact, is since the famous Irving Fisher idea that deflation
Well, as
is
I could've,
bad and
I
was the
guess.
thing that caused
Walked around
the
Compacty
Great
Plaza,
Depression
inside,
in
from
the
that
1930s.
raw BD
That
she's
is the
full.
reason why there's
Bug
constant
already filled me
inflation,
in.
because
So
the
you
people
know
who
the
run
target.
the central banks
You're a
will
Nobu
not let there
Arasaka,
be
the Emperor's
inflation.
son and
He knows
Emperor
that, I know that, and you know that.
Man with the millionaire name
And so when I
no
pointed
talent
this
to back it
out,
up.
he says,
Evelyn
lol,
Parker's special
but
friend.
you've just admitted
So
the
she
conclusion
just
of your
wanna see what's
video is
good, or
BS.
Was there something
Either
else?
one, prices are highly flexible, especially downwards as imagined in Austrian economics, or two,
Think she just wanted to
prices
see what I
are
was
not
about.
flexible downwards because of evil
Wanted to
central
see
banks.
what she was about,
Which
huh?
is it?
How about we go
And then
over the
he
plan?
posts
What you got for
this,
us, Steps?
calls me the academic
Yes.
idiot, and you've got the classic meme with the two buttons. Prices are highly flexible, especially
Here goes
downwards,
nothing.
as imagined in Austrian
Me and Dex have already
economics.
covered the fine
And then the
details.
second button,
Ops-wise,
prices
should
are
be a
not
stroll on the
flexible
beach.
downwards because of evil central
Elaborate.
banks.
I want to hear it.
And then he says again,
Adela
ha
May
ha
will drop
ha,
your asses at the
the
front
argument
door
was
of
never
Compacty
about
Plaza.
real
You'll
prices, this
stroll
is a
right in
straw
and
man.
deal
The
false
argument was about
identities.
money prices. You
Then,
have
with Bugs Hill,
shot yourself
you'll
in the
breach
foot.
the hotel
Yet
subnet.
again, he cackles.
Mine and the Flatheads
Then
help.
he posts the meme
Last
again,
but not least,
this time
you
with
slip into
me
Yorinobu's
as a
penthouse
chicken
and
running
collect the
away from
Goes without
problem,
saying, we do this on the hush.
and then he follows up.
Ideally, no
Now, I've only
bias.
picked out
Not a line.
11,
You'll
a
have
dozen or
T-Bug
so
on comms for the
of
duration.
these responses, but
Time for your
this
burning
was just a
question.
fraction what I woke up to today when I looked at my Twitter feed. So this is another response. LOL. This is a response to my buddy Jay Greenriver, who got involved in the discussion. He says, LOL, real prices are not the type of money price flexibility imagined or required in Austrian economics. You are a clown and idiot. And then he's got various different quotations to try to prove that Rothbard, Mises and others had nominal money prices in mind, not the real price. That is, prices adjusted for inflation or deflation.
Deshaun don't ever work with anyone but the best.
Again,
I consider Delamain.
you have now refuted the conclusion of your own video, since you concede massive downwards price rigidity caused by central banks.
And how he bags a permit to
LOL.
operate every year still a mystery.
And then again,
If everything goes as planned, Delamain
he's
will drop you back.
written out his
If things get sticky,
dilemma
you
yet
head
again.
to the safe house.
Yes, you have. You cannot
Which
have
is?
it both ways.
The
Either
no-till
one,
motel.
real world
Quiet,
prices are
no
highly
questions
flexible,
asked. Make
upwards
our
and
next move
downwards
from
in
there.
response to supply
But
and
I'm
demand
flat certain
changes,
that won't be
or two,
necessary.
there is massive
Anything
downwards
else?
price rigidity caused by central banks. Then he says AA is selling a whole effing course
How
on
do we
logic,
get-
and yet he cannot even argue with massive
If we want to disable,
self-contradiction.
we'll need to neutralize
Bunch of
Konpeki's
laughing
dweller.
faces.
Elite runner,
And then
Only
he's
catch
written
is there's no way to
again,
get in the dweller's
since
den
both
from the
statements below
Hold
reduce
on.
to one,
How you want us to
real
get inside
world
a room you
prices are
can't get
highly
into?
flexible upwards and downwards, and
Trust me
two,
when I say
real
whatever
world
hit you
prices
think
are
of,
not highly
T-Bug
flexible
solved it
upwards
already.
and downwards.
This is where the
AA
flathead
violates
comes
the law
You'll have to
of
get him in the ventilation
non-contradiction,
shaft,
one
guide him
of
to
the
the dweller,
classic
and force the dweller to
three laws
take
of
a break.
thought, of course.
Flathead
Then he
will stay
posts
there,
another
jacked into
meme.
the dweller.
How can
But
prices
thanks to
be
that,
flexible
I'll
if
be able to
central
roll
banks
out your
prevent
red
price
carpet into the
decreases?
penthouse.
Didn't you
Anything
argue
else?
that prices are flexible? Then he's got me
Okay.
running
Feel
out,
brought up to
jumping out the
speed.
window,
Perfect.
you know, running down the
I got a
garden
question.
path.
When do we
And
get to the
then,
real reason
and
we're
bear
all
in
here?
mind, this was less than 24 hours
Cut
after
for
I
fresh talent's
posted my
always the same
video.
and
He's
non-negotiable.
got the still
30%.
waiting meme there
Bro,
for
30?
my
Every
follow-up.
part in this drama
So it's
carries
now
its
the
risk.
4th
That's the
of
value of
February,
yours, as
which
determined
is
by
one
me.
day later, and now I've got a little bit of time to make my follow-up. All right, Lord Keynes 2, and I'm going to do
Come on,
it.
Dex.
And unlike
You
you,
got a
Lord
little
Keynes,
low.
I'm not going
Hey,
to
hold
be
on, Holmes.
falling
Who got the
foul of
flathead?
ad hominem attacks.
pulled the intel from
I'm
the
going
brain
to
dance?
stick
And we're
to
going in a
logic,
hotel full
so
of
I'm going
soccer
to
men to swipe
ignore
some fucking toy from the
all of
boss's
your
son.
attempts
We are
to
the
belittle
job.
me and to
And who's
attack
providing
my person.
transport? A top-tier net
It is
runner
better
and
than
a
you deserve,
lead-proof plane
but
and intel?
I am
You sure you
going
wanna
to
go down
remain
this road?
intellectually honest and not try to get into some sort of slagging match with you. So I've tried to reduce your argument down to its logical
right.
form.
Yeah,
His argument takes the form
We
of a
deserve
classic
more.
dilemma. Okay?
Fine,
And it goes
35,
like this.
And that's my final
If
offer.
AA admits
I can
that
live with
central
that.
banks
It's my
increase the
final
money
offer, too.
supply and induce inflation,
Been a while since
which
I got a run for
produces
my eggs.
downwards
I
price
actually tried to
rigidity,
fuck.
then he cannot
Last
also
thing,
maintain
Kentucky's got a
that
strict
real world
no-iron
prices
policy.
are flexible,
Security gates,
as
the
Austrian
worst.
theory maintains,
So you
without
dogs will leave your
contradiction.
lead spitters in the ride.
Either
Take the
AA
flathead
must
inside
admit
in its
that
case.
central banks increase the money
Got some
supply and
deft
induce
suits, so you'll
inflation,
look the
which
part, too.
produces downwards price
Oh.
rigidity, etc.
Thanks, T.
Or he must
not to
deny
cut
that
chickens, but
and
why
affirm
don't we see our
real
A's?
world nominal price
All
flexibility
depends
as
how Miss
outlined by
Parker
Austrian
avails
theory.
herself of her role.
Therefore,
But a
AA
week
cannot
to
maintain
tops,
both.
my guess.
Now, it
What
just
do
so
we do while
happens
we
that the author
sit
of
around,
Foundations
suck air?
of Logic has a way
You
of
sit tight, heads
countering
down, 'cause old
dilemma.
Uncle
In fact, there are
Arasaka be
3
watching.
ways of countering
Now, as
dilemmas.
that old Greek dog says,
One,
life's a
you can
banquet,
take the
so
bull
don't go
by the
thirsty,
horns and
don't
attack
get
the
funky.
major premise.
Your chariot
Second
awaits
strategy
outside.
is to
My cue to
go
tell the
between
truth.
the horns, as
Gotta
they
prep to
say,
check
and
in.
attack the
Be here
minor
when you come on
premise.
comms.
Or
Any other
the third
issues?
option
Now's your chance.
is to construct a counter dilemma using the same terms. Now, looking at this argument, I have decided that the best way of taking on Lord Keynes 2 here
Hello.
would be to take the bull by the horns
You and
and
Dex
to
knew
show
each other a while.
why this is a false dilemma. First,
why?
though, let me
You
make
know,
an
say
analogy.
all kinds of things.
Weather theory
Everything we
predicts
hear is
that
an
this
opinion,
room
not a
will be
fact.
freezing cold
Marcus Aurelius.
in the winter. But since we have put a radiator and central heating in this room, classical
wonder you
weather
get
theory
along.
is false.
plan?
Now,
With your
if
take?
anybody has actually done
Enough, I
foundations
hope,
of
to put
logic,
me in a
you will
luxury
know
Cretan villa
that
from
my
which I'll
recommendation
never set
is
foot
to
in
avoid
cyberspace
using
again.
analogies
Promise
when
to send me a
constructing
postcard?
arguments. Only
No
use
offense,
analogies
but
to
I'm gonna
illustrate
burn
a
any
point,
and all bridges.
never
Need a clean
to
break.
deduce a conclusion
I'm
or
good. No
advance
questions.
an argument.
Let's get to work.
Even if the analogy seems perfect, objectors will find a way
You ready to
to
get
say
going
that
or
the two
what?
items are dissimilar in some way. So, and Lord Keynes 2
Something I
would
gotta take care of
definitely do
first.
that. Trust me, he
Sin
would do that.
problemas. Ni
So, in
chupada
order
de la
to
main.
head that off at the pass, let us rewrite the point without relying on the analogy. Let us get to the
Just
essence
don't forget to
of
suit
the
up.
underlying argument here. The patterns of nature are not man-made interventions. Theories about natural phenomena pertain to the patterns of nature. Therefore, theories about natural phenomena cannot be invalidated by man-made interventions. That is the argument that is being made in my analogy. Okay, and then we can move from the general argument to a specific application. So in this case, Austrian price theory is a theory about a natural phenomenon. Price fluctuations are a pattern of nature. Central bank interventions are man-made interventions. Thus, price fluctuations are not central bank interventions. Austrian price theory pertains to price fluctuations. Therefore, Austrian price theory cannot be invalidated by central bank interventions. Ergo, in the absence of artificial heating, so when I say ergo, I mean therefore, given everything I've said so far, in the absence of artificial heating, one would expect a room to be cold in the winter. In the absence of artificial inflation, one would expect prices to fall in a recession. We can rephrase the false dilemma as follows. This is the false dilemma that Lord Keynes 2 is proposing, and I'm just labouring this point to show you the logical error that Lord Keynes 2 has made. Okay? If rooms are hot in the winter due to artificial heating, then classical weather theory cannot be right. This is the argument he's making. If prices rise during a recession due to artificial inflation, then Austrian price theory cannot be right. Why are these dilemmas both false? Well, the first one is false because classical weather theory assumes the winter room temperatures will fall in the absence of artificial heating. Therefore, the presence of artificial heating does not contradict it. And the second argument, because Austrian price theory assumes recessionary prices will fall in the absence of artificial inflation. Therefore, the presence of artificial inflation does not contradict it. Now, in my video reply to Lord Keynes, I took great pains to isolate the artificial inflation induced by central banks as a variable, and I did that when I looked at the prices of the magazines. Remember that the price of Newsweek increased by 150%, and if you take out inflation between 1950 and 1970 of 61%, now some of that inflation will be natural inflation, some of it will be induced by the central bank. You can see that the price of Newsweek rose 56.25% higher than inflation in that time. So the price of Newsweek rose above all of the other prices in the economy, even taking into account what the central banks were up to, whereas the price of Good Housekeeping increased by 10% lower than inflation. It only increased by 42.8%. Incidentally, there was a couple of things I forgot to note when I was looking at the price of Good Housekeeping. Partly the reduced price in 1970 was because of increased competition, as I pointed out. But one of the things that I stumbled on while I was researching this that I forgot to put in that video was the fact that between 1950 and 1970, the number of ads in women's magazines massively increased, to the point where by the mid-60s, more than half of the contents of one of these magazines were just commercial advertising. So the revenue model for a magazine like Good Housekeeping would have switched from actual sales of copies to, you know, revenue from people advertising between their pages. So they probably wanted to keep the price as low as possible, because the real thing they were selling was advertising, not issues of Good Housekeeping. And that's something I should have mentioned. Another thing to mention, which would have been pushing the, you know, a downwards pressure on the price during this period, was production methods of colour magazines. It became a lot cheaper to print colour magazines over the course of the 60s and the early 70s, so that's another reason that was pushing these prices down. But you can see in that atmosphere, Newsweek still increased in price, whereas Good Housekeeping was going the other way due to various different factors. Okay, but we can see that real prices are neither rigid upwards nor downwards. In other words, if you control for artificial inflation, you can still measure the natural price signal. Real prices show us the underlying reality that prices do still respond to fluctuations in supply and demand, even though artificial inflation distorts the signal. All right, hopefully that has shown you that Lord Keynes 2 is not only logically wrong, he's also quite clearly clueless about the most basic ideas in economics imaginable.
Now get out.
Are you sick of hearing about Marx and Keynes?
What I like to hear.